This episode of Nintendo Pow Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host and lots excited ADV. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derrick. Hello, good sir.
Hey Ed, how are you? How are you doing this fine evening at 11:03 on a Friday?
I am doing good. We are getting another episode recorded. We're kind of back to our 2-episode thing in a week.
Yeah, well, we're just. I mean, we posted the last episode late, so that's because we recorded late and stuff. But it's fine. I think people understand. If not, well, oh well. But yeah,
which is good because like our news that we had for last episode has kind of got some updates. Even Mortal Kombat 1, as it seems that it's going to be getting a major update.
Good.
As Ed Boon has said. When that update is going to come, I have not one idea. I feel like they're going to revamp a lot of that.
Yeah. I would say it sucks for the people who bought the physical copy, but it's a code in a box, so it doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to be a code for it.
So I'm a little confused. Not that we'll talk about it later, but I mean, I'm just a little confused at the way it looks because the last one was like really good. You know, I mean, it looked good, not great, but good. You know. I just just a little confused is all.
So it kind of feels that because they went to the same porting studio who did Mortal Kombat 11, they kind of went with them. So instead of like delaying it and letting the game come out later, the team at NetherRealm didn't work on the Switch version. So they only did PC, PS5, and Xbox.
I can't even believe that this game came out on Switch. Like, I don't know, man. It's a little weird. Not gonna lie. I kind of almost wish they would have like not put it on Switch because from what I hear, Mortal Kombat 1 is like amazing on the other platforms. Like,
because it's. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that game does some really interesting things, and like I would play it for the campaign, so I'm gonna wait till it goes on sale to get it. But like, I think the cameo stuff is cool. I actually think the seasonal stuff they're doing is pretty interesting. Although every game has a battle pass now, like I think Mortal Kombat's battle pass is like so every character like this season is Scorpion themed, and so every character gets like a Scorpion themed outfit or accessories or something. Obviously Sub-Zero and Reptile look really weird in a red and yellow whatever, but it's I think it's cool. I think what they're doing is cool. I think it's exactly what I thought. I think a lot of people knew that it was a direct sequel to 11, but also this would be a good point to jump in. I was listening to the Nextlander podcast today and they all said like if you didn't play 11 or any of that trilogy, like you should probably play those if you're in it for the lore and the story because it's super important for the story. But I mean, if you're just into Mortal Kombat casually and you don't care, then it's probably fine. But
yeah, well, I think the thing with the Switch port or Switch version was that NetherRealm didn't make it.
Well, they probably made it, and the company had to port it down. That's what I'm assuming. I don't think. I think they were probably just porting it because they they're using Unreal Engine 5.1, which is like a really it's they're basically beta testing Unreal Engine, because I don't think Unreal Engine is in. Well, I guess it's. Here's what I'm kind of comparing it to. Like, this is obvious. Like, this is like when Unreal Engine 3 was being used. This seems like a like Gears 1 to Gears 2 shift in terms of the update.
Yes.
Where like in Gears 1, like you could hide behind barricades and walls and stuff and they wouldn't chip or break or anything. And then Gears 2, you had environmental damage, chunks of enemies flying off while you're shooting them, right? Like, I feel like it's that kind of change. So I wonder if, like, in Mortal Kombat 11 used Unreal Engine 4. So I wonder if porting, even though it's supposed to be easier, was just like the company had not used it before, and so it was harder for them to port. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my butt.
No, I think, well, I don't know if NetherRealm was working with the porting team. And I think that game, I think the Switch version really didn't get bug tested at all. I think they were just like, let's put this out. We know that we'll get some comments and we'll just go in and fix it. It's the fighting works or something, and we'll keep it as that, and then we'll just start working on it, because it's just like, why would the Nintendo version really get a big update to like fix the game? And it just feels that, I understand that this game was coming out for Switch, but everybody was just like, we're fine if you delayed it, worked on it during that delay, or say that it's coming out later, or even just make it go to Switch 2 or something, and just worry about PS5 and Xbox Series XS and PC. People would have been fine with that. The gaming community would literally been fine with that, because like, we know we didn't get Street Fighter 6. We're not getting Tekken 8. We're not getting these big fighting games, which is fine, because we are getting off full of like other genre games, and Smash Brothers is still being played on Switch big time.
But those aren't the same. Those aren't the same types.
Those not the same. Yeah, but I mean, for the fighting community who treats Smash as a fighting game, they are still playing that. So us missing out on Mortal Kombat, 1, we completely would have been fine with it and everything.
Yeah, I also think, like, especially with all the rumors of the new console coming out soon, like, it kind of seems a little late to put a game as a service out on this console, right? I mean, technically, they're not calling it a game as a service, but it's a game as a service, right? I mean, you have season passes, you have new character packs, you have skins, like it's everything's a game as a service these days. So, I think Mortal Kombat, as great as it is to have it on Switch, right? Like, it was probably the wrong move, in all honesty, because like, as great as the game is, they now have this big black eye because of the Switch version, right? And so they're really gonna have to manage that now.
And I think Ed Boon was so hyped about Mortal Kombat 1 for the next gen systems that, because of the sales of Mortal Kombat 11, they thought they could get that same, or probably Ed Boon or NetherRealm or Warner Brothers, they probably thought they could get that same
well, that
same reaction and same sales number.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, right? Like, how much of this was a NetherRealm decision and how much of it was a Warner Brothers decision? Because remember, Warner Brothers still trying to put Harry Potter out, or Hogwarts Legacy out on the Switch, right? So
I think this one was the NetherRealms.
It was WB. They're really trying to, like.
I really think it's NetherRealms, because the thing about it is, I think past WB games, if they were trying to get them out on Switch, like the rumor of Gotham Knights coming. Suicide Squad is not going to be Switch. I think that's probably going to be for next gen or something
Well,
that they
yeah,
decided.
I bet
Like,
that. No, I think that game's going to be on the next console.
yeah,
But
the Batman trilogy and stuff like.
yeah, these are all Warner Brothers games, and they're all coming to Switch. Now, granted, the Batman games are older, uh,
yes.
but I mean, Hogwarts Legacy, man, these are Warner Brothers decisions. They're trying to milk these franchises because they remember when they came out and said that these franchises are underutilized in movies and in games, especially
Hmm.
DC and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So, like, what has Mortal Kombat done? Injustice. So they're gonna put Mortal Kombat out here as a testing ground to port whatever the next Injustice game is. Right?
Hmm.
This is definitely a Warner Brothers decision because they already announced there's like a movie tie-in season coming. And what's coming out? A Mortal Kombat movie. Mortal Kombat 2 is in production. Well, technically, I guess you can't really do it when the strike's going on, but
Yeah.
it Warner Brothers is trying to find that synergy the way that DC is really trying to do with everything. Warner
Hmm.
Brothers wants synergy between all their products. It's the same thing that like Disney is trying to do with Star Wars and Marvel, right? Well, not necessarily Marvel, but especially like Star Wars, right? Everything's canon. All the games are canon. All of the
Yeah.
uh, books are canon. Like this is a Warner Brothers thing, man. They're trying so hard to catch up to Disney. They are trying so hard to catch up to Disney.
Hmm. I
And
agree.
I mean, I'm not saying like they want to be Disney, but like in terms of like product recognition, Disney is so much farther ahead than Warner Brothers at this point, right? Like in
Yeah.
movies, Marvel is traditionally better than DC. Spider-Man is a Marvel property that has an amazing game. Like they're really trying to catch up to that again, which is crazy because uh, um, the Arkham series was quote unquote the first good superhero game in a long time, right? And so
Yes.
uh, I feel like Warner Brothers feels like they're behind, and they're kind of like in the midst of rebooting everything, and like DC Universe being rebooted, Harry Potter is being rebooted as an 8 season show on Max. Uh, I just feel that I feel like this is a Warner Brother decision.
But it just feels weird that we don't think of Warner Brothers on Switch as like
I
kind of
mean,
like third party and stuff.
you do though. I mean, all the Lego games,
Hmm.
Scribble Knots, obviously Batman's coming. I mean,
Yeah, but like,
Cars Driven to Win is a Warner Brothers developed game. There's more Warner Brothers on Switch than
but
you think. It's
but
basically the Activision thing, right? Where like you don't
mhm.
think of Activision as like a Nintendo third party, but all of their games have made it to Switch except for Call of Duty, right?
But and that's kind of the thing. It's just like the E-rated stuff. Yes, it's big on Switch, but nothing teen or mature has been coming to Switch, whether it's a existing IP or a new IP or something. Like they haven't made anything dedicated, and it feels like, yeah, great. Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 11 came to Switch, but did neither of them do it? Like, or did something that's internal at Warner Brothers take the time to make a game to come, because the thing, because got the Knights got really knocked for it, and that was the decisions that they made of changing like the frames per second and all of that stuff on the next gen consoles. And it's just like, and I think this is gonna probably be a question for expansion pass, is that even with Switch 2 comes out, is Nintendo gonna get the less treatment or get the port treatment of their games? When is if the next system is up to being as a Series S or PS5, are ports are port companies going to have to worry about going out of business because the games are being made in house, whether at that, or are they going to just once again ship that game to other developers to port it and stuff?
Yes. As long as Nintendo is underpowered and does not use the same architecture, they will always use a porting house to port these games.
And I think
And
that's
they
the
will always come
question.
out later, and they will always be more expensive because they're on carts or whatever. And most of them will probably come out 3 months to a year later. And
and that's I think that's what I said for expansion pass, because the question, I think the thing to me is that even if it's on the level of a Series S, before they even get to PlayStation 6 or the next Xbox, now that you have power and now Nintendo has given you a development kit, will you be making games for 3 platforms on the same level?
no,
Because now are we in the age that Nintendo is just never going to get anything from third parties from in house.
but
Everything is going to
that's
be
been
for them. It's
true.
going to
That's
be
been true since the Nintendo 64, though. Aside from the Wii, that's been so true for Nintendo for 25 years. It's like, and even when we did get stuff on the Wii, it wasn't the same game. I mean,
Mhm.
I think the prime example is The Force Unleashed. That game was
Oh yeah,
totally different on the Wii, right? And
oh
so,
yeah,
uh, you could try to port to the Wii and implement motion controls, but like even when they were getting third party games, it's like carnival games, and don't get me wrong, there were some great third party games, like Klonoa was great, and Zack and
yes,
Wiki was awesome. And
love that. I was thinking about that game today too.
where's the HD version of that game?
Oh, dude, I want that so bad. I was
Yeah,
literally thinking about that game.
yeah.
But it's just. I think more to come, and I know that people want to knock Nintendo for having,
I don't think anybody's
old
knocking
tech and
Nintendo on this game,
underpowered.
though. I really don't think anybody's knocking
Well,
Nintendo on
they're
this
they're
because,
blaming.
well, here's the
Okay.
thing. I don't think anybody's blaming Nintendo on this because I think we understand what kind of games we're getting with Nintendo,
Hmm.
and the Switch is on its way out, and people are looking forward to that new console, right? And so I think that is the saving grace for them not blaming Nintendo. I think people are blaming NetherRealm, and yes, Ed Boon came out and said that they're going to fix it and patch it. And I mean, I've been a defender of Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch since I played it. Right? It was really,
Hmm.
obviously it wasn't running at 4K, 120 frames a second, and the texture packs weren't there or anything, right? But like, it was a really good port of that game. Uh,
Yeah.
all the fatalities were there. The backgrounds, like, I mean, the backgrounds were what they were, but the fighting and the character models were great. And that seems to be where they slipped up here, because those character models are not not great.
And it's like the bad load times. Like they were just.
Well,
Um.
that's what you're going to get with an SD card, though. If this game
Mhm.
revolves around an SSD and you're porting it down, you're going to get long load times. Like I'm experiencing. We'll get to this when we get to playing with power, but I'm playing Oxenfree right now, and I played the first hour on Switch, and then I turned around and played the first hour on Xbox, and like the load times on Xbox were like obviously almost non-existent, and then when you get to the Switch, it's like 2 or 3. It feels like 2 or 3 minutes before I get to the next area. And so with these new games being built around SSDs, or the amount of RAM or teraflops or whatever you want to say inside these things,
Mhm.
and the Switch is basically running an Xbox 360 in handheld mode, like, yeah, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. And I don't know. I'm at the point where I'm saying let's stop porting these games to Switch, and just hold off to the next console unless you're working with Nintendo specifically. Um, so I mean, we were both part of the Pets Club, port everything to Switch, right? Like,
Yeah.
this whole generation we have been. I think, with it being in the last year of its life, it's time.
I mean, I'm still good with ports come to Switch, and I'm good with people working with porting systems. I think the thing about it is just like Doom and uh, Wolfenstein 2, I should say. Um, on how that quality, yeah, it's not the 4K, it's not the Xbox or PS4 version or whatever, but they took the time for that game to come out.
Right.
Um,
But if you remember, though, I mean, Doom was not running great when it came out. It took multiple patches to fix Doom.
yeah,
And Wolfenstein had a really big patch when it came out, too. So I'm not going to give those games an initial pass either. But also, those games came out within the first, 2 years of the Switch being out and not the last year of
yes,
its life. So that's
and we
also
weren't
another thing.
and we weren't expecting anything from Bethesda to come to Switch because they never worked on Nintendo at all.
Mhm.
But I'm like, when we seeing how the game came out, people, yeah, it all games nowadays need updates and patches. There's no knocking it. There's going to be bugs and there's going to be not problems, but there's going to be some things that they're going to get to fix after they get it certified and stuff because they didn't development time and money and everything.
Mhm.
But we gave it to who ported Doom.
Panic button.
Panic Button. We give it to Panic Button because I think that was their first game that they ported to Switch was Doom that I know of. I don't know if they ported anything else to Switch before Doom.
I'm going to look it up because
Um
I'm interested. But you keep going.
uh but we give Panic Button props because even with Doom Eternal, at least that game, I think Doom Eternal did get delayed. Um and Nintendo was just like, we got Animal Crossing, we're fine. Um, at least they came, Panic Button said, we are working alongside Bethesda to make sure that the Switch version it will be good to go. At least they admitted that,
Mhm.
and I can respect that they said yes, the Xbox and PlayStation version is going to come out. And then after that, we're gonna work on the Switch version while after everything is completed. And so I literally can respect them doing that. If I think if Ed Boon and NetherRealm said that, I think I would have been fine with that and everything. Indie games like Oxenfree is a weird one because I think at the time that Oxenfree came out, it was only on Xbox, but I think that's Xbox One that it came out of. Uh, and Series X just makes it run better and everything.
Yeah. I looked up the Panic Button stuff. The first game they actually ported to Switch was Rocket League, and
Oh,
then
okay.
they fully developed a game called Astral Duel Deluxe. And then their first I mean, Rocket League's huge, but like their first uh, major AAA game was Doom. And then Wolfenstein 2. Oh, they ported the Warframe. They ported Warframe to Switch, and it says port development and additional work. Subnautica they ported. Hob, the definitive edition, they ported, which I knew. Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah.
Doom 3 BFG edition, Torchlight 2. They actually ported Forza Horizon 4 to Xbox Series X and S.
Oh,
Um,
that's
uh,
interesting.
yeah, Doom Eternal and Apex Legends were the games that they ported. It's a lot of I
Okay.
mean, porting shooters must be like their specialty or something.
Yes. All right. And they're good at what they do and stuff. And so it's just like I said, I wasn't looking forward to Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not knocking the game or anything, but for a fighting game wise, I'm looking forward to Tekken 8. I think with Switch, I'm like there with all the RPGs that's coming along, some other indie games that's popping up, get being revealed and stuff. I think even if we miss some of the big name games, there's still enough on Switch to play.
Hmm.
Look, we're already gonna be fed everywhere in October. The new Mario Wonder trailer that dropped, like the overview one,
Hmm.
uh, like people are looking really forward to that game. Mario, Super Mario RPG, people are looking forward to. I haven't heard that too many problems with the Pokemon DLC and everything. So I mean, they're still patching that and fixing it and everything. And
I wonder how
like,
many people care about that, like Pokemon at this point. I mean, I know people care about that game, but I mean, like, I wonder how many people like who initially bought it really care. You know?
for Pokemon fans,
Yeah, Pokemon
they
fans are
care.
weird. They're like me with Destiny. They just buy anything that says Pokemon on it.
And I can admit, yeah, the Scarlet and Violet was a letdown for some people, but I'm just like, look, there has been a lot of big name games that has been a letdown that have came out. You
Hmm.
know, speaking of Doom Eternal, I'm sorry, that was a big letdown. As good as it or as respectful as it is, it did not live up to the hype that it was. It did not live up to the hype and the goodness that Doom, the reboot, was.
I mean, I think the reason why Doom 2016 scored so high is because it had been in development hell for so long that it
Hmm.
finally like came out and was good. Because I remember it started out as Doom 4, and it was more like Call of Duty on Mars than it was what Doom is. Uh,
Yes,
so I mean, I think the magic from that game was gone, but Doom Eternal like scored really well.
it scored well, but it felt like they was trying to do too much, and it really lost that spark from the reboot. There was something about the reboot that was just like, man, this is pure
Oops.
goodness. And I think it's because it was just pure action with a little not RPG mechanics, a little adventure and exploring. And then Doom 2 just felt like I feel like I already done this and nothing about this game is interesting.
Yeah, that was my issue with Zelda, right? It was like I loved
Hmm.
it. Like I look, I spent 80 hours in Zelda. It's not like I hated it or anything, but like with Tears of the Kingdom, it just felt like I did all that already, right? And like
Yes.
that kind of takes the magic away. Like I also don't like the building, and I also don't like some of the abilities. I think the abilities in Tears of the Kingdom or in Breath of the Wild were much better, but that's
Hmm.
a different topic for a different day. But like just comparing that to Doom Eternal was like you got a couple new moves, but like you really kind of still felt like you did all that already, um, because it feels so much the same. So
Yeah. And
um,
I think next month, hopefully, we get some insight about Hogwarts Legacy on Switch.
yeah, I'm
Um,
so interested to see that game. I mean, I want it. Like, I want Hogwarts Legacy on Switch just because I'm interested. I mean, I love that game anyway. That when we were playing it for on where are you? There you are. Uh, I it's gonna be in my top few games of the year, if not my game of the year. I love Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm so interested to see how they get that game running on Switch because it didn't like
mhm.
initially didn't really run well on the new consoles, and then they ported it back, and now they're porting it back again. Oh, I feel so bad for that porting team.
Oh wow,
uh,
I, man, the game of the year discussion to me, literally, and I kind of want to have this discussion once. I think this is Nintendo's final year of running, like just running to 2020 because and the reason I say that because like a lot of my game of the year nominations is coming from Nintendo Switch. Um Octopath Traveler 2, Pikmin 4, um Tears of the Kingdom. Like, man, there's just been so much goodness on Switch, and I really can't wait till I play Wonder on Switch and everything, and just dive in and be like, man, yeah, I think a lot of stuff that I played this year, yeah, it really was on Nintendo, but I'm like, Nintendo just had that run. I'm not knocking Xbox or PlayStation. I really can't say anything for PlayStation 5 because I don't have it. But Final Fantasy 16 be in the running, that's cool. Xbox right now, it's just Hi-Fi Rush. Until
Mhm.
I play Forza, I'm like, I don't think Starfield for me personally would get Game of the Year like a nomination and stuff. But like, man,
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about like soundtrack of the year, and he mentioned Octopath Traveler 2, and I was just like, dang it, yeah, that soundtrack is phenomenal. Pikmin got a great soundtrack. Tears of the Kingdom got a great soundtrack. Like, the music in a lot of these games, it's going to be one. I think the only thing I'm gonna have a hard time is with the indie stuff because I felt like I got away from the indie games because there was just too much of the big first party and third party stuff coming out that I may have missed a lot of indie stuff, and I kind of want to fix that in a sense. But like, I can't wait to play Hogwarts Legacy and stuff.
Yeah.
If they were
Uh,
ever drop it in price, because that book is still
it's
like
on.
regular price.
It was on sale last week during there was like a WB publisher sale or something.
On Xbox. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was. But yeah. But Corey, you want to quickly get into Nintendo?
Uh, sure, we can do that.
All right, everybody, it's time for Snacktendo. Um, I only have one snack that I'm going to talk about. I was talking to our Coca-Cola representative, and we was talking about things in the store, at my job, and he was just like, "Did you try the Fanta? What the Fanta? Flavor?" And I was just like, "No." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we got it in the back, but I didn't try it, and there's zero sugar." And I tasted it, and I'm just like, okay, it tastes like blue raspberry. And then as I got busy during the day and it started warming up, it started tasting like Comet, that green powder that you clean the bathtub.
Oh, I'm
It
well
started
aware.
tasting. It started tasting. Okay. It started tasting like that, and I was just like, I don't know if this is supposed to be grape. I don't know what flavor it's supposed to be. It did start out as blue raspberry, but I think because it's a zero sugar drink, I I was just like, the aftertaste is like cleaning product, and it's
Delicious.
not for me. I drunk the whole thing. I
Shocker.
finished it and everything, but I also had a Sprite. So I mean, I wanted to try it to see how it tastes. Um, People who can't really have sugar and stuff may end up liking it. Like if they've been doing like the Coke Zero, and the zero sugar drinks and stuff, they may like it. They may actually be able to find the taste of what it is. I I think because I'm a sugar tongue boy, it just it was not a hit for me or anything. So
Shocker.
that's and had chicken lo mein and fried rice,
Mm.
um, and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have Nintendo snacks, but I'm going to talk about that next time on Pow Block.
Okay. Um, I guess for me, I'm trying to think because we just recorded on Monday night, so I'm trying to. I haven't had anything snack wise because during the week I can't have that stuff. Uh,
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I guess like, if we were recording tomorrow night, man, I know my mom's coming over, and I know she's bringing a veggie pizza, which I'm very excited
Ooh.
for.
Homemade.
Yeah, the crust is like made out of like a croissant dough, and then
Ooh.
like you cook the dough by itself, and then the rest of it is just cold.
Mhm.
It's like this ranch spread on it, and then you chop up broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, and some people put tomatoes on there, but I don't like really care for tomatoes unless it's like a BLT or something. But and then you put it in the ranch, and then you sprinkle cheese on top. So I really like a thick crust with like a thin layer of the ranch spread.
Uh-huh.
And I could eat a whole thing, man. It's so good. It's really delicious.
I think the journal makes like a croissant crust.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pieces that do it, but it's like it's the same as a regular pizza with the tomato sauce and cheese and pepperoni and all of the toppings and stuff. Um, and I tried it. I didn't know that croissant breading could be used as a pizza dough.
Yeah,
I just feel like
you just like take it all. Like I know they're kind of separated by like not saran wrap, like parchment paper or whatever.
mhm,
But like you just take them all out of the parchment paper and like squeeze them all together to create like a ball of dough, and then you spread it out in the pan. You can also
gotcha.
do it with biscuit, like Pillsbury biscuit
Ooh,
biscuits, I guess. You know.
ooh, get a nice fluffy biscuit.
Yeah, delicious.
I miss biscuits with gravy and sausage.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh man, dude, biscuits and sausage gravy. I could eat that every day.
it's it,
Oh man, you just had
it's
me
it's
like,
it, Corey. It's secretly like top tier anointings. Like,
secretly, not in this part of the country. Man,
I
dude,
mean,
like
because
so I let me tell you this real quick.
yeah,
So when we go to Disney World, like we usually go to like breakfast, like a buffet style breakfast, 1 or 2 days while we're there. You want to hear top tier? Okay, you get the Mickey waffles and you put the sausage gravy on those. And now,
ooh,
at some of the restaurants they have like chicken and waffles, but they cook the chicken and then fry it in the Mickey waffle. So like the chicken is inside the waffle, and then you put the sausage gravy on.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, I need pics in February.
I know. It's gonna be so much fun, man. I'm super excited to go.
I'm excited for you to go too.
Very
Uh,
excited.
Dude, yeah,
Very
it's
excited.
it's so sausage and gravy on biscuit is a Sunday ding here in my community and stuff. Um, Even when I go to different places like restaurants and stuff, they would have it out on Sunday. Um, it's a For some people it's a country thing, but I'm just like, man, you get some. I don't know though what sausage people use.
It's
Um,
just breakfast sausage that you chop up.
okay,
And then
yeah.
the top tier thing too is that you put sausage and cheese inside the biscuit, and then you pour the gravy on top.
See, the thing about it is, I've never had that.
Me neither.
Like,
I just thinking how my brain is still look, even though I'm losing weight and stuff, like my brain is
uh-huh.
still fat, and I'm just thinking about all the things that I can't have, and I'm trying to stuff all the fat stuff inside the biscuit, which is also fat, and the gravy, which is also fat. Uh,
Yeah, it's yeah. I definitely
breakfast is the best food.
it is. Here it is. I think you def. I think with biscuits with me, if I don't have no gravy, I definitely have to have jelly. That's just
No honey?
that's just my thing. You know what? I'm not a honey guy on biscuits.
That shocks me.
It's I
You seem like the type
because
of guy that would just like wash down his breakfast with a bottle of honey or something. Just one of them
No.
dumb honey bears, and you're just like,
No, I think the thing about it is because my mom never used honey like that for biscuits. She might use it for like biscuits at Popeyes and stuff, but when she was making biscuits for breakfast and stuff, we would get the gravy with the sausage in it with our biscuit, or if we didn't have that, we would get that biscuit with jelly and butter on it.
yeah,
And everything. So it's not nothing against honey on biscuits. It's just something that I'm not accustomed to. Not knocking it or anything. But we
yeah,
just had other ways of eating it.
yeah.
Biscuits are so good.
I've never been to Popeyes.
It's interesting, I would say. I'm not knocking Popeyes because the thing about it is as great as Popeyes is, I just don't eat it a lot. And there is a lot of cars in our drive through at our Popeyes and stuff. Now that's where I definitely get the biscuits, sausage and gravy with it, because the gravy have sausage parts in it and then you get a biscuit. So that one be like bomb big and stuff.
Interesting.
But then it's kind of hard because you guys sometimes use that little gravy and sausage for your mashed potatoes, but you just like, no, I need this for my biscuit and everything. So, but everybody, it's time for Play with Power. How should we do this one, Corey? Because
I mean, I'll go first just because I don't have a lot to talk about. I mean, I have a couple games, but nothing like really to talk about. So I've been playing more Disney Dreamlight Valley. I'm really trying to get to the new update because it's like, where's the stuff? I need it. I need it. So I've been playing that. I finished Beacon Pines, which we actually just recorded a book club for it. If you're a patron, you can see it right now on YouTube and the Patreon feed. You'll be able to hear it in October if you're not a patron. Really fun, kind of choose your own adventure game. Highly recommended. It's $20 on Switch. It's also on Xbox Game Pass if you have Game Pass. It was quite a surprise to me. If it came out this year, it technically came out on consoles this year, but it came out last year on PC. It would probably be in my top 5 games of the year. The story was super compelling. The characters are awesome. Just the way you choose how to play the game is interesting. And like, if you, I would actually use a guide, honestly, if you don't have time to like figure out which words go, or they use this system called charms, and it's kind of like a Mad Lib type thing where like there's a blank space in one of the sentences in the story, and you kind of apply this charm to that to kind of see the outcome. And you'll get a lot of like bad endings, quote unquote, similar to Nier Automata, I guess. Like if you die, that counts as an ending, right?
yeah.
And so there's a lot of different bad endings, and there's a couple like this was a mediocre ending or whatever, but like there's only one true path, but you have to figure out what the one true path is in the story by using these charms. And it's really fun. I highly recommend it. And then a couple days ago, I started Oxenfree because that will be the Patreon October book club. Oxenfree 2 is the game, but I haven't played the first one, so I'm playing them both.
Okay.
So
I didn't get 2, and I need to finish 1. I got it on Xbox. Just I don't know.
I think it was a game with gold at some point.
Okay.
So, but that's what I've been playing.
All right. For me, I finished Sea of Stars. Yeah, I completed the game. I'm working on doing the side quest stuff for this game, and I would leave it at that. because that some of the side quests contains some extra stuff for the main game, and I don't want to spoil it or anything. So I am working on that. Started up Romancevania on Series X. It definitely is a Castlevania style game. You, it's it really is a indie game. I can tell you that. Um, but yeah, I'm going to leave it at that also because this this game that game may be. I don't know. It's just like you guys didn't feel like making sure that this game looked better than it does? Question mark. But I'm like, okay, that's fine. I still haven't started Beta Chaos 2 yet. So, but I'm going to start that this weekend and stuff.
Question. So Bat and Kato's, right?
Yes.
Is Origins in that collection? Is Origins 1 and then the original 2 in that collection?
So 2 is Origins because that's the prelude for the story, and then Beta Chaos 1 is like supposed to be like where the game really starts.
Yeah.
But 2, you got to play 2 before you play 1 in a sense.
Oh, that's dumb.
It's one of those games. I hated that era where
they should have just called it. They should have just called it the Bat and Kato's collection, and then have like the real names for the games.
Well, they do have the real names for them, like 1 or 2, but I think it's the way that they did the story. A lot of games in kind of a lot of the generations of consoles, it's just like you get the original game, the sequel will be the prequel of the game, and then somehow the third game will conclude from the first game. Look, Kingdom Hearts is a nightmare of games, but
they're all in order. It's fine.
Good googly moogly. Kingdom Hearts is a nightmare, but there were games that instead of you continuing the first game sequel, they would continue the first game. I should say they would make that second game the prequel of it. You know, to like really help you understand the character. And for me, I felt like that was a cheap money grab kind of idea that they would do. And I just don't like games when they do that. It's just like, give me the game, give me a second game that's going to conclude it, or that's going to lead it to another game. I don't know. And I hated that too at one point in time. I hated games that when the ending came, they did not really wrap up the whole story and stuff. There were some loose threads, or they let you believe like there was going to be a second game and it never came out. Looking at you, Black.
To be fair, Black was awesome.
Oh yeah, well,
Black was awesome. Not
sound quality wise, yes.
Nowhere. Yeah, I mean that was the big thing with that game, right? Was like that was like really the first time they used like super awesome audio, and that's how they were trying to compete with something like Halo or even something like Red Faction at the time. But we see how that went. Their second game, the follow up game, Body Count, was not very good.
Yeah, Homeworld, the PS3, Xbox 360 game from THQ. I kind of wish it did have Homefront. As I said, Homeworld. Goodness, that's a space game. Homefront. I kind of feel like if it had 2 more levels and a kind of a different ending, I would have been fine with it. But Homefront is a good game. It was only like seven levels and stuff. And I kind of like the story that they were telling. I just wish that it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
You know, uh, but Black is just like I did not enjoy that ending. Um,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't
for that
remember
game,
Black's ending, but whatever, it's fine.
I think they were somewhere in the prison, and you had the final battle shooting different enemies, and the person that you were supposed to kill or got end up getting in the way. So it was supposed to lead it to a part two, but um, that then Black Two never got made and stuff. I don't know how that game sold or anything, but it just never got made.
Yeah.
So uh, Battlefield 3 almost did the same thing too. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
but well, Corey, you want to get into some Femi news?
I guess so. I guess we can do that. So our first news story, let's just say we were digging the bottom of the barrel on this one. Uh so the Lego announces a new Mario set for adults, question mark. Nintendo and Lego are teaming up again to bring some new Mario sets that will be catered to adults, it seems. And the first one they are bringing out will be Piranha Plant. These sets will be this set will be the first one released this November, with seemingly more to come. That's interesting, I guess. So it's let's see, the Piranha. This is the article from Nintendo Life. The Piranha Plant featuring a pipe and a 2 coin element is made of 540 pieces and will measure over 9 inches tall when fully built. You will be able to pose the mouth, head, neck, and figure when fully built. It will measure, they already said this, it will measure at 9 inches tall, 4.5 inches wide, and 6.5 inches deep. It'll cost $59.99 and is already up on the Lego store to pre order. So that's it looks interesting. I don't see the 500 plus pieces in this thing, but it's cool. It looks cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this thing, Ed?
It looks nice. When they said it was for adults, I'm like, wait, huh?
I think it's the piece count, probably. I think anything
Yeah,
over like 200 pieces is considered, not for
yeah.
children.
I think I'm waiting for a better set in their thing. Because I do love Legos. I just haven't purchased any lately, and built any sets. So I think I'm waiting for something like a Cat Mario or something to build.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, this is cool, but again, Legos are so expensive, and I don't have room for that stuff. And you know, I think it's interesting, but
Mhm.
whatever. I know a lot of people are excited for the Nintendo Legos, and like, I'm kind of shocked they haven't done any other IP yet. They will, though, I guess.
Everybody's hoping for a Zelda one. Zelda and Metroid.
Yeah, they're gonna keep waiting. Sorry, guys. Uh, our next story is more of an update on the Unity story, which we kind of, they kind of already came out and said that they were going to have updated terms because, quote unquote, we hear you, we're listening, we're making changes to better serve our community. We know we need to earn your trust, all those stupid
Hmm.
marketing PR terms. And, when somebody messes up. So Unity has revealed the new pricing model for their runtime fee. After all of the backlash and harsh feedback people at Unity have received, Unity create lead Mark Witten has released an open letter to the dev community and gamers out there. We're gonna open this article here and kind of get the full. thing. There was so they wrote a blog on unity.com. You should go over there and read the whole thing if you're super interested. But basically they are making changes as such as there will be no runtime fee for games built on Unity Personal. We will increase the cap from $100,000 to $200,000 and will remove the requirement to use the quote made with Unity splash screen. Which splash screen? That's like the opening of a game, like when you boot it up, right? I mean, there's always a Unity or Unreal or some sort of engine. You have to acknowledge the engine. I think.
Yes.
So that's kind of a weird thing. No game with less than $1 million in trailing 12-month revenue will be subject to the fee. So I think that helps a lot of smaller developers. For those using Unity Pro and Unity Enterprise, we are also making changes based on your feedback. The runtime fee policy will only apply beginning with the next LTS version of Unity shipping in 2024 and beyond. So no current Unity users. Your games that are currently shipping and projects you are currently working on will also not be included unless you choose to upgrade them to the new version of Unity. That's the big one, right? So all games that are using the current version of Unity will not be affected. Which still people will probably move off of Unity after their current games are done anyway because of all this, or because the pricing will kind of change or whatever. Also, people might not trust Unity because they're just changing things all over the place. But that was the big one. We will make sure that you can stay on the terms applicable for the version of Unity editor you are using, as long as you keep using that version. For games that are subject to a runtime fee, we are giving you a choice of whether a 2.5% revenue share or the calculated amount based on the number of new people engaging with your game each month. Both of these numbers are self-reported from data you already have available. You will always be billed the lesser amount. That's also still, I think that's also better. It's not necessarily amazing, but that's better.
Yeah.
We want to continue to build the best engine for creators. We truly love this industry, and you are the reason why. Okay, PR. I'd like to. Okay, so there's like a live. They're calling it a fireside chat. By the time you hear this, it'll already have gone live, and you can probably watch it on YouTube or some sort of video sharing
platform.
So,
yeah.
I think this is better. I think this is good communication, especially for something that seems so negative, right?
Yes.
But what doesn't? I mean, what won't cause them to change this in the future anyway, right? I mean, I don't know, man. They have a lot of trust to gain back, right? And they say this in the beginning of this this blog post. So, I mean, it is what it is. But Unity is they lost a lot of trust.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was good for him to say, sorry for not talking to you guys as developers. Sorry for not getting your input, your feedback before we made this announcement. And I think he probably kind of felt like it was a business decision that they was just going to reveal this and people were going to just accept it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't come from the president of Unity. It came from the creative lead for this apology. And it would have made sense if Riccatello, or whatever his name is, JR, I'm going to call him, it would have been better if he came out and made this apology and said this. But unfortunately, we had to hear it from somebody else. And I agree with you that it is going to take a long time for them to gain trust. And I think developers would understand the changes if they would have talked to the developers who are using Unity instead of before this announcement was made. That way they could go in, change some things, and then announce this, and everything, because it the way that it was just rolled out, it really just, there was no clarification on things, and it really kind of felt greedy in a sense. So when you get to that point, and developers who saying then they're going to stop using your engine, um, that was going to really affect that business big time. So I think they learned to be like, if we're going to change stuff, if we're going to, change our business policy, we need to talk to the dev people who are we are in business with, to get their input on it, adjust some things, and go from there. Because your engine is for developers, yes. Um, and if you want people to use your product, you have to engage with them. So they could get a better understanding and probably be hyped to use your product and work out the business stuff with that. So yes, I'm glad that they did change a lot of stuff. I'm glad that he came out and said something. Um, I I think this would I think the trust thing is going to take within a year for it. Is work. I think it's once the indie games more indie games start rolling out, and we start seeing what engine they use and stuff, we'll see how this is going to be affect. But if we start seeing more people going back to using Unity, um, and definitely for probably for developers who are just starting out, if Unity, the new engine version, I should say, of Unity, if that's more in their budget for them to use, um, we'll probably start seeing that probably within a year or two. But it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
That announcement really damaged that company.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for sure.
Mm-mm.
It's all about messaging, man. It's all about
Yeah.
messaging. All right. Well, this last story is more Xbox related. There's a lot of like the FTC and Microsoft kind of. I'm still not 100% sure whose fault it was. Microsoft says it was the FTC, obviously, and the FTC says it was Microsoft. But I would really recommend looking at all this stuff. This stuff is really fascinating and interesting. Granted, some of it's from like 2 or 3 years ago, but like at least the hardware stuff is locked and loaded. You don't just that stuff was from like the end of 2022 ish. So I would look at it. I think the new Xbox looks awesome. If you don't know, a lot of Microsoft's kind of future plans through 2030, the acquisition of Bethesda, and the things that we're going to focus on today are like companies that were in discussion to be acquired or, mentioned in this doc. Like Nintendo was mentioned in this doc, but everybody's highlighting like Microsoft wants to buy Nintendo. I'm like, no crap. Everybody wants to buy Nintendo. Like,
Right.
PlayStation wants to buy Nintendo. Valve probably would buy Nintendo, right? I mean, it's not it. The context of the email chain is never explained in any of these articles, and it really makes me mad because it's clickbait. But I would check out like a lot of this stuff if you're interested in the Xbox ecosystem. The Xbox Series X all digital edition is really cool looking. It's not a fridge this time. It's more of like if you look at it like an Amazon Home Assistant, like that tall round cylinder.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Was it circle or was it like an oval shape?
It's like a paper towel roll with a top and a bottom. Is how
Okay.
I mean, it's a cylinder, so it has USB-C ports everywhere. 2 terabytes of internal storage, which is what I'm more excited about. No like significant upgrades in terms of like power or anything, although it'll run more efficient, so it'll run it'll run better anyway because it'll run more efficient. They're using 6 nanometer chips instead of 7, so they can make the console smaller.
Mm.
I'm sure the SSD they're using is smaller. So it's an exciting time for Xbox if you are looking for an upgrade, which I will most certainly buy this for the living room.
But this is an idea. There's nothing confirmed or anything. It was just
Well,
a I.
it's not confirmed because this wasn't supposed to get out. But these are all internal slides. I mean, people have to sit there and look and explain all these and pitch them and get them in the pre-production. And like most of the stuff is or already maybe has come to fruition. Like the most interesting thing too are the Bethesda games timeline. And Indiana Jones is supposedly going to be a trilogy. The Elder Scrolls and Fallout remasters were leaked. There's a Doom prequel coming out called Doom Year Zero, supposedly.
Mhm.
Supposedly is its next game. We all thought it was Quake, and it still might be Quake, right? I mean, still might be, but there's definitely
Yeah.
another Doom game coming. Secret projects from it's very interesting. The financial quarters that these games are supposed to come out in are all wrong because that slide was from like 2021, right before they were thinking about acquiring Bethesda, or 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know, years. But yeah, it's all very interesting. But the thing we're going to focus on today, I think, is acquiring Nintendo, quote unquote. So yeah, and also like WB Games and now, I mean, there was rumors floating around today that Microsoft, after the Activision Blizzard stuff, is going to try to buy Crystal Dynamics and IDOS Montreal. That's what I would want them to do, but who knows how
Same.
those rumors are, right? I mean, we've been talking about that since Square sold them, so we'll see. They are working on Microsoft internal projects, though. But I hope everybody that was laid off finds jobs. I know it was only 10 people from Crystal Dynamics, like a bunch of marketing people and one IT person, which is like strange, but
Yeah, I think it was like, did they 9 PR people or something like that?
nine
Or
PR,
Yeah, Mark
PR and marketing people and one IT guy.
IT.
So
And then people,
go ahead.
the people who just some mythic force or myth force that just came out. They had people laid off too from Embracer.
Yeah. I mean,
So I think
also Immortals of Avium, that whole studio, like half that studio is gone too, right? Which is sad to see.
yeah, 45 people. Yeah, I still need to. I didn't buy the game. I didn't go to Best Buy to see if they had it, but I may have to order it for like a curbside pickup and stuff.
Yeah, I want to get it. There's been a lot of other things to not to play, but like I mean, I've got a lot of other stuff to do. I can't. I don't know. I want to support that
Yeah,
studio because I feel bad, but not just because I feel bad. I think the game looks really awesome. I don't know. I should have. It makes you feel bad when like maybe your purchase could have saved someone's job or something. You know, I mean, it's only $70 towards the company, right? But like you still feel bad sometimes.
yeah.
But all right, let's dig into this quote unquote Microsoft is trying to buy Nintendo BS. So if you read the whole email chain, this whole acquisition thing started when so they were looking at gaming companies to purchase like studios and stuff. This was well before Bethesda, and it was also around the time that the government was getting involved in TikTok and saying that the U.S. branch of TikTok needed to be sold off because of Chinese hackers. They don't want them infiltrating government, property, and they were taking it really serious. Like TikTok wasn't allowed on government property phones or smart devices, that kind of thing. And so or the Xbox division was looking to purchase studios, and Microsoft was looking for consumer facing brands. And when TikTok was supposedly available, I think either Oracle bought them, or maybe TikTok is just still TikTok. I'm not 100% sure. I know Oracle was involved at some point. And so when they were looking at studios to purchase, obviously Bethesda was one of them, and I think Crystal Dynamics and Eidos were up there. I mean, that list came out too a while ago of like there was something like 30 or 32 real studios that they wanted, and then Activision became available, and they were like, well, let's do it. But if you look, like a content director from the Microsoft products team, from like the acquisitions team, suggested Microsoft buys Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo is not for sale. And if you read the whole email chain, that person was someone who clearly didn't know the history of Microsoft and Nintendo from the beginning, right? Because Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo from the very beginning, and were laughed out of Nintendo flew them out there basically just to laugh in their faces. And so Phil Spencer responded and said, like, the quote that keeps coming out is, that would be a career move. And in the context of the email thread, Phil Spencer told that guy that, like, yeah, we have an eye on Nintendo, but they would be very, very difficult to acquire, based on how much they're worth and how well the Switch is doing. And the second thing is, Japan has like a very big honor system, and they own, like, Japanese companies usually only are sold to other Japanese companies. And the other quote that keeps coming out is Nintendo, ellipses. First of all, Nintendo's future exists off their own hardware, which, yeah, the future of Xbox is going to be off their own hardware, and PlayStation at some point. Everything's going to be able to be played on some sort of app. There'll be some sort of unified machine, probably, maybe not in the next 10 years, but at some point, right? It'll be like a VCR or DVD, right? You'll be able to play these games. They'll all be apps on these devices, right? Especially if cloud takes off, within the next 15 or 20 years. It'll just be an app on your TV, and you'll be able to play your games. So that's the part that was taken out of context. And Phil Spencer, kind of, the other emails basically went into like, Nintendo's not available. Nintendo would be super expensive. We'd have to do all these things, yada, yada, yada. And basically he was letting the guy down easy and saying, there's no way, right? We're watching them. They're technically a competitor and a good partner, right? But like, it's not happening, dude. and
plus he probably didn't know that Nintendo's so rare to Microsoft.
Yeah, the mergers and acquisition director, definitely not into games, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
if you're not into I wonder how many people even know that Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo at some point, or like, I still hear people when I go to the store asking if like Mario is on PlayStation, right? Like, the general consumer has no idea about any of this. So, I mean, if this guy is like barely a general consumer, or, obviously has a different type of job than Phil Spencer does, right? So, yeah, I mean, Nintendo's just not going to sell to anybody unless they have like a real downer console at some point, which I really don't think that especially if the next console is just another Switch, but it's just, also, this email was like in the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic. So, that should tell you something also.
Yeah, and the thing about it, what I keep saying, that Nintendo has a lot of money in the bank reserved for if they go out of business or if they fail, they could restart up again with that money.
It's the Wii to Wii U situation, right? Where the Wii sold a ton of consoles, sold a ton of games, and the Wii U failed, but they survived off the quote unquote war chest. And like, by all accounts, they still made money during the Wii U era, just like wasn't
Yeah.
a lot. And like that's when like Iwata took that salary cut and all these
Mm-hmm.
other things. And they were still moving 3DSs pretty quickly and rapidly too, right? I mean, the 3DS maybe their lowest selling handheld, but it still sold 75 million units, right? I mean, it's not like it sold 10 million units and like the Vita.
Right. And like Nintendo, because at that time, Nintendo was still making money off of Wii, off of Wii U, off of 3DS, but then they were making money off of Hot Wheels because they had the Hot Wheels set. They were making stuff, making money off their merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amiibos came, they were making money off of that. As much as people laughed at the Amiibos, be like, I'm not going to buy that. Look how quickly Amiibos was selling. And every time a new Amiibo dropped, it was still making money because people were selling. People didn't want the Wii Fit girl. She became the hardest one to find when it first came out. And they sent a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just like Nintendo had different avenues to make money, and at that time, like with 3DS and all the games that came out, like Pokemon selling like a million, Fire Emblem Awakening selling a million, with all those different versions of 3DSs came out, like the Monster Hunter one came out. That was selling. Like they were still making money off their hardware and software sales. And as like people said, like there's no way that they were making money. Oh, if Super Mario Sluggers on Wii was still selling at $49.99 when that game came out, they were making money.
Yeah.
New Mario Brothers Wii was making money, even though Wii U was still out.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, Nitty was making money hand over fist,
Yeah.
just everywhere and everything.
Yeah. So
And don't forget that was the era that if Square Enix or EA didn't sell about 2 or 5 million games, they called that a failure and they were shutting the studios down.
mhm.
And it's just like, are you serious?
Yeah. So that was yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean this whole thing, this is the sad thing about the internet, right? People only read the headlines. The headlines are clickbait, and then they have their own story to tell about the headlines. And it's like,
Mhm.
just tell the story, man. Just say it. Just say it. Like I don't know, man. People are dumb.
I think the thing that stood out was the fact that it was just Microsoft wants to acquire Nintendo. You know, that it was on an email. Well, it was kind of just that sentence or that phrasing that got people interested in this story or responding the way that they responded and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, because you would think that if Microsoft did acquire Nintendo, and that if Microsoft acquired Nintendo, we would not be talking about the Activision deal at all.
Yeah.
Like you acquiring one of the biggest Japanese publishers, but then it comes out that okay, Nintendo's not going to be making no more consoles. They're going to be making more software, where their games are going to get devalued because Microsoft is going to throw them all on Game Pass. And that's great as people love that and they got all this power and all of this stuff. I think Microsoft does not know, like you said, the honor system in Japan on how things are done in Japan with developers and stuff. I kind of feel like Nintendo would feel like their IPs would get devalued because people are not going out purchasing them. They're just playing it on them. And if they don't like it, then all that hard work is going down the drain
Mhm.
for $17 or $15 a month and everything. And they take pride in their games in the development and they value it and everything. And like you said, I kind of feel like yes, you would get your Horizon Zelda because of the graphics of the Series X, but that that would take away something from what Zelda is supposed to be.
Yeah.
In a sense, the spirit of it, the exploration, the feeling, the memories, the moments that you feel with that game, all of that would be taken away because it's on a system that's really catered more to Americans than Japanese, than Japan. And yes, TGS has happened, you know, with all of that stuff. Like, just because it's on a powerful system, it would lose a lot of interest because the market share for Xbox is still questionable in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you really want Mario Kart 8 to go against Forza Horizon? Like, you you want Metroid to go against Halo and everything? Like, yeah, you want Smash Brothers on it, but then I'm like, you got all of these other fighting games. I think a lot of people don't realize that if the stuff that Nintendo owns and creates ended up on Xbox, it would lose its value. And I think a lot of the directors and creators at Nintendo, I think Miyamoto will retire. I think a lot of those people that we know and love and learn about, I think Anuma will leave, um, Tezuki would leave. Like,
Yeah, it
all
would.
of those people would definitely leave. And then those IPs just get turned into American games, and it would just destroy a lot of those IPs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be like a quick, like initially, like I think the legacy stuff would really work on something like Game Pass or something. But like, I mean, you get 10 years down the road, or even 5 years down the road, for like Nintendo making games for other consoles. Like, I think the heart and soul of Nintendo, like the heart and soul of Nintendo, is that they're weird and they make their own stuff, and like
Hmm.
sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, Nintendo wouldn't be making Labo for Xbox, right? Or like,
Right.
I mean, those IP are super valuable, but if you take it out of it's that if you take it out of the hands of the creators, um, especially stuff like Nintendo stuff, like sometimes, like, I mean, if you look at Star Wars right now, right, Dave Filoni is essentially re-energizing Star Wars, right, and that's a rare case where, like, it's always been said, like, since the original trilogy and when the prequels were coming out, George Lucas, like, for like, doesn't see how special the franchise is, and can't, like, he's messing everything up or whatever, which I don't care. I like the Star Wars movies. I like almost all of them, I would say, but like, I think Dave Filoni is like the creator who can, like, take that universe and really make it something special now that George Lucas isn't involved, and he's been doing that, right, with especially with Ahsoka. I'm watching Ahsoka right now, and I don't know anything
Hmm.
about that character except that, like, in the cartoons and stuff, that she was Anakin's Padawan, right? That's all I know. But he's really building his own universe within the Star Wars universe, and it's really cool to see that. And I mean, because, like, when the last sequel movie came out, like, remember, they changed all their plans, they canceled movies, they didn't know what to do with it, and now then they brought him and John Favreau in, and like, they're really making something special out of, like, what they're calling the Mandoverse, I guess. But you that's it's the same thing with um Nintendo, though. If you take it out of the hands of the creators and, like, you let somebody else be involved, you really run that chance of, like, ruining the legacy. As great as, like, Super Mario Brothers 3 is, or A Link to the Past, or some of them early Nintendo 64 games are, like, nobody's going to care if it's not on a Nintendo console. I mean, you might get that initial hit of, like, oh man, look, I can play Mario 3 on Xbox, but, like, you get 10 years down the line, or you get a new generation in there who grew up on Minecraft and Fortnite, right? Like, they're not going to care. If they want to explore other games, they're gonna look at new games. I feel like we've hit that point where the generation or two behind us are not going to appreciate classic games the way that we do, because we grew up with it, right? And it's fine.
Hmm.
I'm not really a person who goes back to play old games a whole lot, but, like, they don't have the nostalgia for a lot of it that we do. They don't have the appreciation of starting with a joystick with a button on top with the Atari or like, the arcades and stuff. Like, I think that's where you lose the Nintendo legacy. If that would putting on other consoles would be the nail in the coffin. So
yeah, and it's.
I mean,
I just feel.
also like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
I mean, if the Switch wasn't a success, we could be having a totally different story, right? But like,
mhm.
I mean, Nintendo always finds a way to persevere and you know keep going and hitting on the success, right? Like, I don't know, man.
Like the software is where the success is really at, and Switch is successful because of the software. Yes, making it easier for people to play games on the go, and playing these big triple A's in a smaller size, regardless of what the quality is, minus Mortal Kombat 1. um is an experience for people who are always on the go or who can't really get to play games because of family obligations or work obligations and stuff like that. To see all those people, just if it ever had happened, to see all of those people leave and everything, you don't think, trust me, Sony would do everything in their power to snatch Miyamoto. Bandai Namco would do everything in their power to get Smash Brothers, the director of Smash. Why could I not think of his name?
Sakurai.
Sakurai. Like, these companies are going to fight to get these developers, all those top directors and developers and everything at Nintendo. They're going to do everything in their power to get them if they actually leave Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it would be like, okay, we got Nintendo, but we really just got them in name and we got their IP. And then if their IP comes out and it's done by the way that Microsoft is working games now with their developers, we wouldn't see a Fire Emblem until maybe their next console, and we may just get that with a whole bunch of cutscenes before we actually see the whole game and everything. Like, and who's gonna take who in Microsoft, and not to knock Microsoft and those studios, who is going to take these games and not evolve them, but make them really feel like it's a Nintendo game. At this point in time, besides like Hi-Fi Rush, that would Tinko Works would only probably be the only company. Bethesda would kill any Nintendo IP, and not kill in a good way. They would destroy it.
Yeah. Well,
You gonna make Zelda feel like Skyrim? That would be nonsense.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good thing none of that's happening.
Yes, I know I sound fired up, but it's just like I seen that, and
overraged from a hypothetical acquisition.
I seen that, I laughed, and I wasn't enraged
Yeah.
by it, but I'm like, everybody knows, yes, I'm a dedicated Nintendo fan. Everybody knows my love for Nintendo. I love Microsoft and I respect them, but Microsoft has their own lane. They have no business touching or being in Nintendo's lane.
Well, I mean, and
They're great. There's great partners, but that's about it.
I mean, they're not trying to be though, so I'm not
Mm.
worried about it. I just the last point I want to make before we move on, because we have been talking about this unnecessary topic way too long, is that I
had thoughts. Sorry.
I think if Nintendo went on another console, right, or multiple consoles or whatever, it would almost be like the way I mean, you think about it, it's not the same, but it's similar, right? Like Kojima leaving Konami and what happened to Metal Gear, right? Like nobody wants Konami to make another Metal Gear game unless it's a remake, right? That's like nobody wants them to. And Kojima left that franchise to be what it is, and Um, which, you know, I'm not a big Metal Gear fan. I'm not even really a big Kojima fan, but like, you know, that people hold him at such high regard, like Miyamoto high regard. And those IP that he worked on are special to a lot of people. And I think that that's how we feel about Nintendo is like, we don't want anybody else to touch them unless, you know, Nintendo's involved, right? I mean, yes, someday Onuma and Miyamoto, uh, and you know Sakurai are all going to be gone, right? All these people, but I think like you look at Mario Odyssey and how well that was received, right? Like that wasn't done
Mm-hmm.
by Miyamoto, right? That was done by um, what's his name? It starts with a K. Uh, shoot, the guy that used to do the directs, the oh my gosh, I forget his name.
Kazumi.
Yeah, Kazumi and his team, right? So um, but also that's still the legacy of Miyamoto, right? Miyamoto led them for them to now make new Mario games, right? I mean, we've seen it all generation, the changes, the new ideas, and I think it all kind of started with Splatoon on the Wii U, right? Like Splatoon was a new IP that surprised a lot of people, and actually sold Wii U's in Japan, surprisingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are so into Splatoon. It's not even great. It's not even. I don't understand. I mean, I like Splatoon enough. It's fun. It's interesting. But like, people love Splatoon, you know. And that was a totally new team, a bunch of young Nintendo developers. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, Ed, we're moving into Pack Watch.
Yes.
Pack Watch. Here's what you can purchase on Nintendo eShop this week. This first one I'm actually pretty excited for. I didn't really know anything about it, and I watched the trailer, and it's like a really fast-paced action RPG, and I'm really excited for it. Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai, which is I guess it's based on a popular manga in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
In a world tormented by the forces of evil, a swordsman and his companion set out to defeat Hadlar, the Dark Lord. On an isolated island in the southern seas, a boy named Dai lives among monsters, yearning to become a hero himself someday. Everything changes when the Dark Lord is revived. I think that game looks awesome. Have you seen anything on it?
I just seen it on the eShop.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason I don't remember it ever being announced or anything. I'm like, did they announce this?
Yeah, they announced it a while ago. I actually think they announced it at Tokyo Game Show last year.
Hmm.
But nobody thought it was going to get a Western release, so maybe that's why people aren't paying attention to it.
Okay.
Uh, Also on 9/28, Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon, the free DLC / update. The final one is releasing. Released on the official Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube account, The Final Horizon is the final downloadable content update planned for Sonic Frontiers in 2023. As detailed in the game's 2023 DLC roadmap, The Final Horizon features new playable characters and a new storyline that continues from the game's ending. On 9/29, you'll be able to play the indie puzzle game Cocoon, which looks really great. Xbox had it at their showcase, and it's a Game Pass game. A unique take on the puzzle adventure genre, where each world exists within an orb that you can carry on your back. Wrap your head around the core mechanic by leaping between worlds and combine, manipulate, and rearrange them to solve intricate puzzles. That game looks really beautiful, by the way. And the last game coming on 9/29 is EA Sports FC 24. EA Sports FC 24 welcomes you to the world's game, the most true to football experience ever, with Hypermotion V playstyles optimized by Opta and a revolutionized Frostbite engine, reinventing how 19,000 plus authentic players move, play, and look in every match. That game actually like looks really good, visually. I've really had the itch to play FIFA at some point, or I guess FC 24, some sort of thing. The Switch version is actually on par with the other versions this time, so that's good to hear. It has all the same features and stuff, but I bet next year's is a legacy version.
Exactly. So, quick question: is this Frostbite engine? It's not the same Frostbite engine, right? Is this like a custom made one?
Nope, same one.
Because I remember they said that Frostbite wouldn't work on Switch.
Well, they've been running FIFA on it since the Switch launch, so clearly does.
That's very interesting because now they toting around Frostbite. They were just like, no, Frostbite wouldn't work on Switch because it's underpowered.
I don't know. EA says a lot of things.
It's just interesting. That's what.
Well, now EA leadership is now running Unity. Old EA leadership is running Unity. So,
mess.
Nintendo Switch Online is also getting a new game, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, which is a Game Boy Advance game, multiplayer Game Boy Advance game. So you should check that out if you want more Kirby trash.
You're so shady. You know that.
I know Kirby's not really trash. I just like making fun of Kirby because it's Kirby. Kirby sucks. We don't have any questions tonight. We didn't really ask for them. We didn't really tell people we were recording tonight. So question block does not exist. So Adam,
thank you. We kind of had a big discussion at the beginning of the show, so I think.
I mean, the show's still going to be an hour and 45 minutes long, so it really doesn't matter.
That is true. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Pow Block. Hopefully, you guys are going to have some good gaming this weekend. And good snacks. We are entering fall season. I think Saturday, Corey, is the first day of fall. The 23rd,
something like that. So it's already fall for me, Ed. It's 12:40 for me.
I don't even know when the time change. I don't know when it's going to hit like dark time at 4 or 5 o'clock where you can't see anything. I do know it's car accident season because goodness, we had 4 or 5 car accidents already by my job. I'm like, come on, people, y'all gotta drive. You gotta do the speed limit. Y'all cannot be in a hurry. Definitely in this rainy weather that hopefully will be more reasonable this year. Stuff. But with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woo-hoo!
Bye, everybody. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/phosphorusmedia and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.